Okay, so I'm gonna read so I can respond to all of the comments you left. But first of all, thank you. And in the part you said, I didn't know how to express the positive slash good out of all of it to her at this age. I think that's normal because if it makes sense, like sometimes we're not at a point to even receive all of that first, like all of that right away, or we wouldn't be in a state to like really understand it or get what you're like, get what's being said, if it makes sense. And even you as a parent, I'm sure it's hard for you to even see that right away, because the one in it, it's hard to see it too. So I hope you don't feel bad. I trust you don't feel bad for like not being able to express that to her, or not knowing how to yet. And then you said, well, I'm grateful that I gave you hope and stuff and reassurance, because yeah, sometimes it's really hard to have that stuff, especially like when you're so in it, like, and it's directly impacting you know. So as far as, oh, and I want to say with I think you also said I made you realize that you're just looking at it as a bad thing, and I hate to say like anything is like bad or good. It just like is what it is, you know, and it's like a more of a vibrational thing. And I think also it's so important to let her and let yourself feel those bad emotions, or like the lower vibrational, like the anger, sadness, confusion, things like that. I think it's really important in remembering that it's a journey. Like one day you can be feeling so great and so positive about it, and another day you can be feeling really bad about it. And again, like why, like, but in the why like victim mode, not in the why like I really want to know like what was a lesson type of thing, you know. And yeah, I think it's important that when those feelings come up, you give them attention, you nurture them, you give love to them, and telling her that too, like it's okay, and helping her. Like it seemed like from the videos I saw too, she likes words of affirmation, so teaching her her own affirmations to say to herself in those moments also. And but I am saying I think it's important because all of those feelings are valid. What I think is how we fall into depression and things like that is when we let ourselves like stay stuck in those emotions and don't like reassure ourselves and affirm ourselves and tell ourselves, you know, it's going to be okay, and it happened for a reason, even though we may not be able to see that reason right now, if you get what I'm saying. Like even a few days ago, I had like I had to write him a letter, and I had to let myself only write from like the perspective of like my inner young one and all the bad feelings that I was feeling, even though at my higher state, my higher self, I know like why it happened. I know like a lot more than my just ego self or my human self, if that makes sense to you. Like I had to let myself feel all those feelings and express those feelings, because I have a tendency to just hit the positive note over it, and the understanding note, and the forgiveness and compassion and all that stuff. But it's important to let ourselves feel those bad feelings, you know. So yeah. So anyway, okay, the question, have I released him after the abuse? So it's been a whole journey with that in itself. Since it's happened, since the last time it happened, he was in and out of my life, in and out, in and out. The last time it happened, I was 15. I'm 26 now. And currently it's been like 8 months since I have talked to him. And before that, it was a while. Like I go a long time without talking to him, and then there's a part of me, the daughter in me, that like really misses him, really wants to talk to him, because before the abuse started and during the abuse, we were like this, like daddy's little girl, my best friend. And I learned a lot through therapy that he was doing like a lot of grooming and stuff, and like making me feel so close to him, so that like I wouldn't want to tell, so that I would feel bad, a lot of different things. But I dang, I just lost my train of thought. People be staring. Anyways, so since it's happened throughout the years, on and off, like I've had him in my life. And I didn't tell anybody until I realized, like, I didn't tell anybody or stop communication with him until I realized, like, what the heck was really happening. And that was at 16 when I got away from him. And when the last time it happened physically, I was 15, and I did stop it finally in that moment, but I still stood with him. I still pretended like nothing happened for the most part after a while, like, so now I'm realizing, though, like, with this last interaction I had with him, I realized he hasn't changed. I realize it's really detrimental to me to allow him in my life, because in order for me to allow him in my life, I have to cross my own boundaries. I have to pretend like nothing ever happened. I have to be who he wants me to be, which is detrimental to me in so many different ways. And another thing I wanted to say, in the video that I first saw of you guys, she was expressing like her fear of men and stuff, and I wanted to give a little advice on that, if you don't mind, because I struggled with that a lot and I didn't even know it. So it's, again, really admirable to see her be able to acknowledge that and express that at such a young age, because I just thought I was annoyed by men and didn't like men and all these things, but in reality I was scared of them. So something that's helped me with that is she's really good at vocalizing her feelings and emotions, like letting her know it's okay to set boundaries, and not only with men but everybody, especially pertaining to her physical body. If somebody's trying to hug her, shake her hand, touch her, and she doesn't want that, allow her, like, let her know. I'm sure you probably did, but like, reminding her she has the power and control over her own body. She's not wrong or bad for saying, no, I don't want to hug, no, I don't want a handshake, no, I don't want you to touch me, or it makes me uncomfortable when you're staring at me, it makes me uncomfortable when you're looking at me. And for me, that was really scary. It still is scary sometimes, and I still struggle with that, but that's a big way that helped me, like, step back into my power. And also letting her know, like, it's okay to express herself, like, she doesn't have to hide herself, because that's a thing that I did to myself for years. Like, my femininity, like, I closed that off. I didn't want to show, like, my body to be seen. And not to say she needs to show her body, especially because she's a little kid, but in the future, like, it's our body, if you get what I'm saying. Like, for her to take back control of her own body, her own femininity, her power, step into her power, like, know that she has that power and stuff. And obviously certain things are at certain levels when it comes to that, and expressing herself. And even also, I don't know if you know, but, like, traumas, they store in our body. So getting her to dance, do yoga, like, move her hips, sexual traumas especially get stored in your hips, which again blocks, like, your intuition, blocks your sacral chakra, which is a big part of your feminine energy. It blocks a lot of things when it gets stuck. I'm saying a whole bunch of things right now that's totally beside your question, but I think that it's important to know. And even that in itself, like, she will probably go through waves where she might want to talk to him and not want to talk to him, feel like she hates him, feels like she loves him, all these things. And I don't want to project. I'll speak from my experience. That's what happened to me to this day. And I have to remember to give myself the grace, because yes, he abused me, but he is also my dad, and that's something I really struggled with, because I'm like, anybody else that abused me, most of them, I would just cut them off with no issue, like, but with him I struggled so much. And then believing his lies of he wouldn't hurt me, or he wouldn't do it again, or all this. And there was a lot of gaslighting. And so yeah, just reminding her too, anything he says, if he ever tries to say it was her fault, anything like that, or anybody, like, it's not true, which again, I'm sure you've done that already. But the last experience I had with them just solidified, like, I really cannot be around him unless he really takes the chance or the time to change himself and really truly, like, acknowledge everything without, like, I don't know, going into victim mode or not acknowledging everything fully, if that makes sense. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I don't know, feel free to ask me any more questions if you have any. And thank you again, and thank you for taking the time to even listen to my videos and ask the questions. I appreciate you. I love you guys. See you later.